Hi, I'm Greg Goodell. I've learned from working in radio that all it takes is a couple of hiccups or bad decisions, and suddenly you can find yourself in an incredible credit jackpot. Do what I did. Call Bill Lewis at Credit Restoration Consultants at 954-581-5050. That's 954-581-5050. Put an end to the harassing calls. Don't let your credit score drop. That's what Bill did for me. It was a disaster, and over a period of time, he gradually got my credit restored, and today, I bought a car, I have credit cards, I own a house. He's the guy that made that possible. Again, Bill Lewis at Credit Restoration Consultants, 954-581-5050, 954-581-5050. Or go online to talkaboutcredit.com. Tell them you heard about it from Greg Goodell. And remember, if your credit score is dropping and you have harassing phone calls, this is the man that could put an end to it all. Bill Lewis at Credit Restoration Consultant.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
This is the Credit Report with Bill Lewis, a daily forum for business and financial news, politics, economic trends, and cutting-edge issues. The Credit Report is brought to you by Credit Restoration Consultants, the leading credit restoration firm in South Florida. Schedule your free consultation today. For details, go to talkaboutcredit.com. Join the discussion live. Call toll-free, 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Now, here's Bill Lewis.
Good morning. This is actually Chip LaMarca filling in for Bill Lewis on the Credit Report. Bill took a little time off to finally take his wife and lovely daughter on vacation, so hope they're having a good time up there at the House of the Mouse in Orlando. But as usual, we'll be doing a forum of business, financial news, politics, economic trends, and cutting-edge issues, which, as you know, probably from hearing me on this radio show from time to time, probably going to deal with politics more than anything else. My name's Chip LaMarca. I'm a city commissioner in the beautiful city of Lighthouse Point, which, if you don't know where that is, then we're doing our job. No, it's a small 11,000 resident city in northeast Broward, and we're bordered by US 1 Federal Highway and the Intracoastal, and then Deerfield Beach and Pompano to the north and south. Great little place to live, and welcome you all there to come see us. Anyway, I also have a little bit of a volunteer position with the Republican Party in Broward County. Now, one might ask, why would any sane person take the job or even run for the position of Republican Party chairman in a county where the Republicans are outnumbered 2-1? But as we know, without Broward County, nothing happens in the state as far as an election goes. So our nearly 250,000 friends registered on this side and trying to boost that by day are great people to work with. So I enjoy it, and actually, as Bill might say on a regular basis, what do you do for a living? So all the volunteer work in the world is fun, but I have a small construction firm called LaMarca Construction Corporation, and we specialize in emergency power generation and fuel systems. So if you've got a big hospital, hotel, educational facility, institution, need a little backup power, you might want to give us a call. But anyway, back onto the show here. We're going to have a guest co-host with me here. He's on the phone here, and I'm going to ask Alan West to join us, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, who's running for Congressional District 22, which actually is it was a long time district held by Congressman Clay Shaw. And Alan West, you on the radio?
Yeah, absolutely. And good morning, Chip, and good morning to the listening audience. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Great to hear from you, sir. How's the campaign going?
Well, it's going very well. Just very busy. We've had a couple of speaking engagements. As a matter of fact, one this week, I was up at a Chabad in Boca talking about the effects of some of the foreign policy decisions and actions being made toward as far as Israel and some of the things we need to look at as far as Iran. And, we've got a very interesting thing that's happening this Sunday up in Chicago. A confirmed terrorist group by the name of Hizbut Tahrir is meeting in Chicago, and the theme of their seminar is the fall of capitalism and the rise of Islam in America. So, we talked to them about the fact that once upon a time the enemy may have been at the gates, but now it's within the gates here in America.
Well, Colonel, what is if you don't mind me asking, what is a what is a black conservative doing at a Chabad, talking to people that are most likely registered, probably on the other side?
Well, that's one of the things that we have to look at. It is coming down to what is philosophies of governance. What are your principles and what are your leadership capabilities? And it's really coming down to the American issues that folks are looking for. And so those lines are starting to really blur because, people are looking for a direction. They're looking for a message that can resonate with them and something that's a little bit more in depth than just talking about change and hope, which a lot of people are starting to not believe in right now.
Yeah, that's it's powerful word when you just throw it out there by itself, but when you have to define it and really kind of determine how you're going to go about governing and how you're going to go about creating change, it's a whole different ballgame, don't you think?
It's a whole different ballgame, absolutely. And being brought up in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, a lot of people would think, okay, you would just be another one of the ballot casting for the Democratic Party, but my parents brought me up with very conservative values. They talked to me about individual responsibility and accountability. They talked to me about definitely understanding the security of your country. Since my father fought in World War II, my older brother in Vietnam, and my nephew now is wrapping up his second assignment in Afghanistan.
Right.
We talked about how education is the key to getting out and arming yourself so that you can go out. And this country is about equal opportunity, and don't sit around and wait for someone to create or engineer a result for you.
Yeah. So you often talk about engineered outcomes, and I know if anybody caught the earlier show, Bill told me not to mention the host's name, but the earlier show before this, it was all about engineered outcomes, affirmative action. You're a perfect example, and getting back to the political side of it, is it true that both your parents are not registered Republicans, they're Democrats, right?
Yes, they were.
So those values can come through. Doesn't matter what the party is. It's all about how you're raised and what values are instilled in you.
That's right, and that's why I say it is going to be now what are the principles of governance for this country. And when you sit back and you listen to some of the things that are happening right now, our tax code is being used as a weapon for class warfare, where we have a government right now that, as you said, is trying to engineer outcomes. And one of the things that I hate about affirmative action, and I've spoken against it, is that in accepting affirmative action, you have to accept the fact that you're less than someone else.
Right.
And I don't think that's what America is built upon. Right.
Well, one of the things that's maybe would be a bold statement for a Republican Party chair to make is that as much as I'm disgusted by the 9 Republicans that voted with cap and tax, I'm actually proud of and very, very much looking forward to kind of seeing how they vote in the future. The 40 plus Democrats, the Blue Dog Democrats that voted with the best interests of their district, the people that sent them there, and kept with their fiscal conservative values, regardless of what their party registration is. I think there's a feeling in D.C. that with Nancy Pelosi, obviously she's running the train on one side and Harry Reid on the other, and the Senate's a little different, but the House, which you're running for. I looked at that as kind of where the ideas come from, and it happens on a state level as well. And I think a lot of those people that are there registered as Democrats, voting as Blue Dog Democrats, are going to start coalescing around what's right and not necessarily what a party wants. And you know what? To the negative on our party, the 7 that voted the other way on it, maybe they'll find another way. But I think it's going to be more interesting to start counting votes, not necessarily based on how many are registered or elected to the House based on a party, but where their principles are, where they're going to govern from.
You're right, and you're absolutely correct in talking about those 44 Democrats who came across on the cap and trade bill, and then you looked over and saw that there were 8 Republicans that enabled that bill to pass.
Yep.
So it keeps coming back to what are the principles of governing, and it's so important right now because there are 3 things, when you talk about an economy that is suffering like what we have in the United States of America, there are 3 things that you don't do. You should never seek to print more money.
Right.
You should never seek to raise taxes. And you just God bless. I just forgot my third.
You're thinking too logically. You're actually thinking there's a big room somewhere, a big vault with something backing this money up, and we just keep borrowing it from China.
Borrow more money. That was the last point. Print more money, borrow more money, or raise taxes.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, you've heard the president say we're out of money, but then yesterday, I believe the vice president said we just need to spend more money. So. Well,
listen, the greatest, at least the greatest thing for talk radio and late night TV is that we have the vice president's position back on top for entertainment, which I don't think we had with Vice President Cheney. He was always very low key and didn't really provide much in the area of entertainment. But Vice President Biden is certainly good in that area. Yes,
he absolutely is. So the thing, you being a small business owner, very well. Small business owners are the backbone of this country. Mm-hmm. And if we are not enabling them to be successful, we're not going to have economic growth. If we're not looking at the private sector to resurrect this economy, we will not have investment. We will not have innovation. We will not have ingenuity. The public sector, time and time, has been proven wrong in being able to grow an economy.
Because
all they do is grow government.
Yep, you're right. And people keep having these discussions with me, and they always talk about the government is spending money, the government's doing this, the government doesn't have a nickel. The government doesn't make money. You go out and make money in a small business, a big business, and you provide tax revenues for the government, and they're supposed to spend to do all these programs. Let's get back to the most important thing, and you always say it. The government, I don't care if it's city, county, state, federal, it's supposed to basically protect and defend, provide domestic tranquility. That's it. Not all these other things. And when we get into healthcare and running auto businesses and running banks, and it's scary. I mean, if you want to look towards success, look towards pick JFK as a Democrat, pick Ronald Reagan as a Republican. Talk about tax cuts. That's when revenues to government go up.
Well, that's what people fail to understand is that when you transfer the wealth from the government back to the people, the revenues increase.
Absolutely
but
right.
What you have happening right now is government is seeking to have more power and more control over people. You look at the fact that I think it was 2 weeks ago they came down and said now just to get a driver's license here in Florida, the cost is just double.
Yep.
To register your vehicles, all those type of things. Well, guess what? That's money that the people will not have to infuse into the economy. It's going to the government, and then what in turn happens? I can't understand why anyone would think that the entity that runs the post office, Amtrak, Medicare, and Medicaid should now be in charge of running your health care.
No, it's quite scary, and I think I told this story on the radio briefly yesterday with Bill. A good friend of mine who just came back from Europe, and her mother had an infection probably caused by something here, a bite of some sort. They were in Paris, France, and she spent almost the entire day in the hospital, and then saw nobody. When they finally, complained enough, they went to they were shown to a room, and the room had just horrible conditions. So it's definitely not going to work. I mean, I can tell you as someone related to somebody who came from a country that had that type of health care, it's not going to work. But we're going to go to a break and catch you on the other side.
Okay.
This is Jennifer Lewis for Parrish City and Tom James of South Florida. If you haven't seen my husband Bill lately, wow. The reason? He just got outfitted with a brand new wardrobe from Tom James Fine Clothing. The Tom James Company is the world's largest manufacturer and retailer of custom clothing. They plan, coordinate, and maintain your wardrobe so that you're perfectly attired for any occasion, business, casual, social, or formal. So if you need the perfect attire and you need the perfect touch of class, call Parrish City at Tom James of South Florida. He's even giving you his personal cell phone number, 561-789-4357. That's 561-789-4357. Or go online to tomjames.com. And be sure to tell them that Jennifer Lewis sent you. Tom James, the best kept secret in elegance and refinement.
You own a business, but you spend too much time chasing your customers for payment. Your customers are slow to pay invoices. They avoid your calls. Uncollected judgments are piling up, and your current collection agency is no help. Tired of hearing the checks in the mail? Write down the phone number for McCabe Smith Reynolds & Associates, 800-699-DEBT. That's 800-699-DEBT. McCabe Smith Reynolds & Associates is a South Florida-based professional collections firm, and they can help you to collect the money that's owed to you. They work on a contingency basis, so if they don't collect, you pay absolutely nothing. Collections on bad checks, delinquent accounts, judgments, and all types of overdue receivables. They can even handle background checks, credit reporting to all 3 credit bureaus, and they provide worldwide attorney services. McCabe Smith & Reynolds will work just like a seamless extension of your own company, providing written and verbal verification of all collection accounts, timely status reports, and litigation support. Bottom line, McCabe Smith & Reynolds gets results. Get your cash flow going in the right direction. Go with the firm that Bill Lewis and Credit Restoration Consultants uses, McCabe Smith Reynolds & Associates. Offices conveniently located in Pompano Beach. Call 800-699-DEBT. That's 800-699-DEBT. Or go online to msrcollections.com. This is the Credit Report with Bill Lewis, where your opinion matters. Call us live on the air right now, toll free, 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Once again, here's Bill Lewis.
All right, we're back. Again, this is Chip LaMarca sitting in for Bill Lewis. I have Alan West, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, candidate for Congressional District 22 on the phone. And, Colonel, welcome back. We're actually going to take a very important call from our Attorney General for the great state of Florida and also our candidate for the governor of the great state of Florida, Mr. Bill McCollum.
Good morning, Chip.
Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you. How's Colonel West doing?
Colonel, how you doing?
Great, and good morning to you, Attorney General.
Good to talk to you.
Absolutely.
General, I appreciate you calling in. I know the Arbitron case was a topic on this radio show a couple of days ago, and somebody said, "Well, what does that? How does that affect business?" And they kind of got into a little bit of the obvious advertising revenues and all the other things that can be affected if those numbers aren't accurate. So I guess that's kind of the tie-in with the radio industry and what you're doing in the AG's office. But tell us a little bit more about how your race is going for the governor's race, and in my mind, obviously, as a party chair and somebody who follows all this is the most important race in the state of Florida, bar none. So, how are things going for you?
Well, Chip, I think they're going very well. Now, obviously, you mentioned something in Arbitron where the Attorney General's office is very involved, and I don't think it even though I'm running for governor and it's still 16, 17 months away, that we can let the fact that I am doing so interfere with the job of the Attorney General. And one of the things we just did, as you mentioned this week, is file a suit in an effort to try to prevent Arbitron from doing its ratings on radio that change in such a way that will discriminate against the minority stations, the ones that are primarily appealing to Hispanics, blacks, and other minorities in our state. And we believe that those ratings, the way they are now until they're accredited by a national accrediting agency, would do just that. So I'm glad you raised that. Let me make that point. But as far as the race itself is concerned, we've done well. We reported well in terms of the money raised in the 4 weeks that we had really to raise it in the last quarter, raised over $1 million. And
excellent work.
And the $500 are under checks. As you know, that's the limit in Florida. But I think the most important thing about the race is where we're going as a state. I think as you look, or anybody else does, at who should be the next governor of our state, we should look at who's going to be the strongest leader, who can direct us in the best way to create a climate for the growth of jobs in the private sector, the luring of new industry into our state, the creation of jobs around the research that's being done at our universities that unfortunately too often escapes, goes to other states in the form of licensing or small businesses that start up and then they can't get the capital they need here, and some capital comes in from out of state and says, whoa, you want to grow, you've got to move to North Carolina, New Jersey, or wherever where we can oversee it. We've had some real weaknesses in that regard, and as strong as our tourism industry has been, and we want to continue to have it that way, and as strong as our agricultural industry is, and we want to continue to have it that way, it's not good enough to depend on those two basic industries in Florida in the future for our revenue growth and to get us through patches of problems like we're having right now in this economic cycle. We need to grow. Right. We need to grow those biotech and those high-tech industries, those things we can do in luring business here and in creating the climate so that our universities don't just invent things and have things happen that come along. And we've got a lot of great universities, and then let it escape to other states. We need to have those jobs stay here and keep our young people here.
No, you're right. And that brings us to a pretty important point, maybe looking at kind of what your thoughts are on what the state legislature and the governor did with the tuition increase. And I guess what people certainly people look at that and say, well, okay, that's a risky move politically for the governor to support raising tuition. But when you hear the background that many of our great teachers and professors from University of Florida, Florida State, all of our state universities here in Florida, Florida Atlantic, are going to North Carolina, and they're going there under the direction and a plan of a former chief of staff for President Bill Clinton is running the educational system there, and he has said in no less than plain English that we're going to try to get your best teachers, and we need to pay them.
Unfortunately, we needed to raise the tuition over a period of time, not too much at one time, in the state of Florida for our universities. I served on the board of governors of the state university system, Chip, before I became Attorney General, and we have 11 state universities. Each one's unique in what they do, but the research universities in particular, and there are several of them that do a lot of research in our state, cannot compete without the tuition going up. There's just no way that they could do that. At the same time, we want to protect bright futures. We want to have an opportunity for parents to put aside money for our children, their children, and grandchildren, so that they can at least defray, if not completely pay that way, the cost in the future, and have a guaranteed ability to go in and have an opportunity to send their children to these universities. So we have to balance those concerns. I think that's what the legislature went through. It's why it was so difficult to do, is because the increase in tuition affects the ability of the state in a time when revenues are down to be able to fund a program like Bright Futures, and as you know, and that's funded to a large extent out of the lottery monies. But there are considerations when the amount of revenue is not there and the tuition is going up of how much you can support that. So I think the bottom line is the next governor of this state has got to have a vision of where we're going, not only with job creation, but with education. You've raised that indirectly by pointing this tuition issue out. It's not good enough, as some are saying, for us to see an increase, and this is a good thing. Florida's gone from 31st in public education in terms of the ratings to 10th in the nation.
That's amazing.
And I think that's terrific. But to sit on our laurels and say, wow, we moved there, you have to realize that's simply not good enough. And we need to have a situation in which we are number one. We are the best in the nation. We got to look at it that way, and we shouldn't be satisfied until and unless we are.
Yeah,
and even if we are, that's not good enough in the world, because the world is better off than we are in many ways.
Right. If we're the fourth largest state, we need we can do better than 10th. But going back on some of your background, I read a recent article, I think, in the Wall Street Journal that labeled you as Mr. Substance, and 20-plus years in the Congress representing Central Florida, United States Navy and law background there, Attorney General is what you're doing right now, running the cabinet. I mean, a lot of people don't, and I know it's a bit of a long conversation, but a lot of people don't understand what's all involved as well with the cabinet. And the 4 members of the cabinet do so many other things than just their jobs. That the hat that you wear as Attorney General, the hat that Secretary Bronson wears as Ag Commissioner. There are so many other things, but I guess my thought, without a doubt, is obviously I'm supporting you 110%, and I couldn't imagine us at such a tough time with the economic issues and small business issues we have here in South Florida and all of Florida, that we would take a chance on anything but Mr. Substance. I mean, if you've proven to do the job, I mean, that's what we need.
To say, I've been involved in public life quite a bit over the last few years, and I'd like to take the knowledge that I've gained and be able to put that to work for the people of Florida in the larger picture of being governor. But if you're looking at what this job does, I don't think most people understand what the Attorney General does. I am the chief legal officer of the state. We have about 1,300 people who work for us in 12 offices in Florida and 420 lawyers out of that 1,300 people. That's a big agency to run. But in addition, I sit, as you said, on the Florida cabinet. That's unique. There's no other Attorney General in the United States, of all of my other compatriots out there, who has another function to play other than being the chief legal officer. But in Florida, under our Constitution, as one of 4 statewide elected office holders, I sit as a board of directors, if you will, a member of the board of directors of about 12 boards and commissions. And one of those is being a trustee, one of 3 in this case, of the 4th largest, 5th largest pension fund, I guess it is, in the United States.
Right.
Another role in that is sitting on the clemency board. I don't think any other attorney general I know, no other attorney general sits on a board that reviews who gets a commutation of sentence or who stays in prison or who gets civil rights restoration and so forth. And you go down that list, Florida Forever land decisions, when the legislature makes a decision that it wants to put a pile of money there, which we unfortunately don't have right now, but we have had over the last few years since I've been sitting there, and said, here, Cabinet, you decide what land in Florida is purchased to protect and preserve for Florida's future generations so it won't be developed. Those decisions I've been making along with my fellow cabinet members. So I think the bottom line of your point, and I concur in it, and I think it's something we'll be talking a lot more about in the campaign, is that I have the experience, I like to believe I do, and knowledge to be prepared to be a governor in our state, to be a leader, to be the leader. And I served many years in Congress. I've been a native of Florida, served in the Navy as an officer in the Navy JAG Corps. I think it's been many years since we've had a governor who's been a veteran. And so I think I'm prepared to do this, and I'd like to believe the people of Florida will conclude that at the end of this campaign. But it's a long campaign, a lot more to go, and a lot more people to see and things to do before that decision is made. But I've been very privileged to serve in the capacities that I have, and particularly right now as Attorney General, and look forward to the opportunity to serve as governor. No,
I wholeheartedly support you, and I think you're what we need at this time. I guess with Colonel West on the line as well, any advice you can give Colonel West on what to do in those 20 years of experience up on the Hill when he joins those people up there?
Well, first of all, I think you don't put your finger to the wind. And one of the big problems in public life is too many people get in public office and they think, Colonel, that they've got to appease every interest group that's out there that has a squeaky wheel. And I can just say to you, when you're elected, and I know you wouldn't do this, but a lot of them do, just don't go up there and try to respond to everybody who has an interest group that writes a lot of letters in. You decide what's best. You make that decision on an informed basis by going to the hearings, by listening, and making that determination. And I know you're conservative in your values, and I share that conservatism. And I think that's what we need right now to guide our country as well as our state. We need people of great principle, of solid values, but people who look at things and are problem solvers. Right now, our nation, as our state does, faces a lot of problems. The problems are economic in large measure, but they're also international in the case of the Congress. And again, I couldn't begin to sit here and tell you much more than that. The other thing I could say is, when you get a chance to pick committees and get a committee assignments, those are very important. And as a rookie in Congress, you can make a difference. You really can if you gain a specialty in a certain area and really work at it. When I went there, I made immigration and crime fighting the areas that I spent much of my time in at the beginning, and then banking along the way because I was on the banking committee. But I made an effort to learn those very much in great detail, and then gained and earned the respect of my colleagues as knowing the substances, you put it earlier, Chip, and was able to accomplish a great deal even when I was in the minority.
Yeah, I think something else that you did, General, when you were in the Congress is that you were practically the innovator of the anti-terrorism work that was done, and so critical after 9/11 to have a veteran, somebody with the knowledge of the law as well as the military side of things, fighting for us in Congress to make sure that we are safe. And
well, back in 1989 when we founded the House Task Force on Terrorism and Unconventional Warfare, and I chaired it. That was long before September the 11th. I don't think most people recognized, in fact, I know they didn't, the threat that radical Islam posed to us. And but I had exposure to that during the time that the Soviet Union occupied Afghanistan and the refugees were in Pakistan, and we had some programs and interaction with them. And unfortunately, a lot of people didn't listen to that, but we put a lot of material out then. And again, it's the type of thing that Colonel, you can do when you're in Congress. You can work very hard and gain knowledge and take that knowledge and do something with it. And that's what I think I'm doing today as Attorney General, and I'd like to think I'll do as Governor, is to put people together to bring the best and the brightest together to solve problems. When you find something that's out there that's a real problem, you don't duck it. You don't go away from it. We've got, for example, in the state of Florida, Chip, a major insurance problem facing us going forward. We can't duck that. We've got to go and address it. It's not easy, but we need to build consensus among a lot of people and not just poke something up to the legislature and say, okay, we're going to go do it this way, because then public support won't be there for it and people won't understand it. But insurance and taxes and issues around water, things that are critical to our state, we need to build a consensus basis on it. We need to have, just like I did with the Terrorism Task Force, we need to have some pioneering ideas out there that then people build on and we come to some agreement on as a state. And that's the same thing, Colonel, in the nation.
No, you're
going to take that kind of effort.
You're right on some of those key issues, and insurance is going to be critical. And kind of like the education dollars, we can't just raise it at one point, but it's going to there's going to be a bit of an impact over time. But it is what it is. When if we have a catastrophic storm disaster, it's going to impact us. But I appreciate you coming on this morning, General, and look forward to talking with you more as the campaign goes on, and also with the AG work. So
good to be with you, and good luck to you, Colonel.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. Colonel, why don't you hang out for just a few more minutes, and we're going to come back on the other side of this break.
Okay.
Thanks.
This is Terry Kirby. We've all heard enough about the economy and how bad things are. What you're really concerned about is your own personal situation. I know all too well what you're going through. Your bills are out of hand, the endless phone calls, and your credit is getting worse every day. You have no idea what to do. Here's your answer. Do what I did. Call Bill Lewis at Credit Restoration Consultants. 954-581-5050. That's 954-581-5050. My credit was a disaster, but Bill and his staff took time to help me get it all sorted out. They're experts. They know the credit industry, and they'll help you protect your rights. Late payments, judgments, old medical bills, even if you've been a victim of identity theft, CRC can help. The fees are reasonable, and the people are always professional and courteous. Stop doing nothing. Let the experts restore your credit today. Call Bill Lewis at CRC, 954-581-5050. That's 954-581-5050. Or just go online to talkaboutcredit.com and tell them that Terry Kirby sent you.
Having good credit can mean the difference between enjoying your life and living a constant nightmare. Get on the road to good credit today. Go to the Credit Restoration Consultants website at talkaboutcredit.com. Credit Restoration Consultants can help you start cleaning up your credit right away. Check your credit score right there on the website. Apply for new credit cards, even if you have credit problems. Plus, order your 3-in-1 credit report direct from Credit Restoration Consultants. Go to talkaboutcredit.com, do it now, or call 954 area code 581-5050. That's 954 area code 581-5050. Do it today.
This is the Credit Report with Bill Lewis, where your opinion matters. Call us live on the air right now, toll free, 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Once again, here's Bill Lewis.
Okay, we're back again. Chip LaMarca sitting in for Bill. I want to welcome back the Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, helping me out with the co-hosting duties today. I didn't tell you that, but I had to get you on the radio, and we're gonna have a good time with this. But welcome you back, Colonel. How you doing?
Well, thanks. Hey, I'm doing fine, and it was real important the nugget that Attorney General McCollum talked about, and I think that is the one thing that really does get a lot of politicians in trouble is when you continually try to pander and appease every single special interest group out there, and the next thing you know, you don't stand for anything. So I think that people need to have some foundational values that they believe in. They need to stick to them. They need to no matter what group you're standing in front of, you have to continue to profess them. And when people understand that you say what you mean and you mean what you say, they accept that. And that's one of the things, you've heard me talk about it. I'm not into the big tent, the inclusiveness, the outreach thing. You just state this is what we believe in, this is what we stand for, and people will come to you. I really do believe that. And another great thing that I think comes out in listening to the Attorney General was that you've got to have the right type of people in Congress, because that is where, in the House of Representatives, because when you think about all the legislation that comes out of there, especially with the budget and the fiscal policies, that is how the states get set up for success or failure. And so if we don't have the folks up there from the Florida delegation that are doing the right things and advocating for what is best for the Florida citizens and for their financial growth and development for this state, then we're not going to go anywhere. I mean, we'll find ourselves in the situation we have right now. One of the things Ron Klein keeps touting is his great catastrophic insurance fund. Well, guess what? I mean, he has been up there since 2007, and we still don't have anything.
No, you're right. You're right. And speaking of somebody going up there and sticking to their guns and making a difference in Congress, we have Congressman Adam Putnam also on the line. Good morning, Congressman.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Hey, Colonel.
Hey, good morning, Congressman. How are you doing?
Great. Good to talk to both of you.
We're doing great. Just speaking of Attorney General McCollum was on earlier. I know you served some time in the House with him. And speaking of somebody getting in there, I wanted to kind of get his take on what Colonel West should do when he gets into Congress. And he made a point to say, go in as a freshman and, get on the right committee. And I just, anytime I hear about somebody kind of going in young and, God bless you for still having that youthful look. But your story of going in there, just barely at the age of being able to serve in the Congress and making such a difference. I mean, at this point in your life after the change of power in 2006, I mean, you were number 3 on the Republican side in the House. And, how did you get to where you ended up before you decided that you were going to leave Congress and run for the ag position?
Well, the Attorney General is absolutely right. Every individual member can make a difference. Everyone comes into this process with the same level of respect for having just been elected by 700,000 people. But then whether you move up or down on the respect scale once you arrive is totally up to you. And so, people are watching. Are you digging in and understanding the issues? Do you know what you're talking about? Or are you just up there flapping your gums? Do you really work hard and put in the effort, put in the long hours to understand the material and understand what the witnesses are saying before you go to mark up legislation? And that's, frankly, one of the things that I think is so frustrating to the American people right now is they're not seeing that level of preparation. What they are seeing is a rush to legislate with 1,000-page bills and 300-page amendments that no one's read, that are dropped at the last minute, that represent a lot of side deals that were cut in the middle of the night. And
right.
And the results of that legislation will put us at a competitive disadvantage to other manufacturing nations and will bankrupt our children while we continue this slow march toward nationalizing our economy, our health care, our energy policy, and everything else that the current leadership is doing. And so you see this frustration that Congress is rushing to do things even though they know that members haven't read the bills and they don't know the full consequences of their actions. And that's why it's so important that you get people who are willing to stand up to leadership and do their homework and really understand exactly what the implications of these policies are. And that's,
and we've seen I think even Steny Hoyer has said hey, of course we haven't read it. How could you read this before it gets to the floor?
Yeah, he laughed about it like it was some clever little joke, and it's not a joke. It's our children and grandchildren's future. It's the future of this great republic and this experiment in the people that's been going on now for over 200 years, and it's not a joke.
233 years, and here we are. Now, I watch a lot of C-SPAN during the day in my office just because it's kind of calming to hear some of the blabber, and I couldn't help but to enjoy watching Representative Congressman Flake from Arizona. He had 17 amendments on the cap and trade bill, and he was literally objected to every single one of them, and he made a statement. He said, they wanted him to be gratuitous in the fact that they even let him say to explain his amendment before they voted it down or objected to it. And his comment was, this has about as much excitement as a Cuban election. And we have to govern. We talked a little bit earlier. The Colonel and I kind of agreed that some of my new heroes, and as Republican Party chair, it's a little odd to say this, but some of my new heroes of the 40-plus Blue Dogs had said, no, we're not going to vote for this. It'll bankrupt us, because they know they have to go home and deal with people of like mind and value.
Well, before we give them too much credit, let's see that they follow through. There weren't very many who followed through on cap and trade.
I agree. It's just it's frustrating when we're so close, and if we just if people think back to their district and the people that sent them there, the 7 or 8, 9 Republicans that went the other way, it's just not prudent right now to make such a massive, let's fix the economy, and then we'll go to health care. It's kind of like that old Ronald Reagan plan of, let's deal with the things that we agree with, we agree on. Let's deal with the economy. That everybody's hurting. Small businesses is suffering. Construction and tourism and real estate and everything in here in Florida is just in such bad shape. Let's deal with that first, and then we'll deal with health care.
Well, that's a strong economy where people have jobs and they're not worried about losing their home and they're not worried about how they're going to pay for their children's education, frees up the ability to solve difficult problems like health care and energy and everything else.
Yeah,
you can't, but what they're doing is adding stress to the average family. They are adding burdens to the average taxpayer in the hopes of solving these problems, and that's just throwing gas on an already raging fire.
Yeah, no, it's amazing in that kind of take it all the way down to the local level where I serve, and some of these cities in Broward went on building and redevelopment and spending sprees that were just never seen before. I mean, I won't say what city, but a city of the Southwest in Broward County built this city hall, this town place that it looked like something out of a movie set or maybe Disney World. It was just, and here we rehabbed our little old city hall in Lighthouse Point, and you have to save for a rainy day, and guess what, guys? It's raining outside.
It's storming. That's exactly right. But the most important thing we can do for the American people right now is empower them and free them up from regulation and from taxes that are keeping them from adding a new employee, adding a new piece of equipment, going out there and picking up new customers and clients. Frankly, this is an opportunity for Florida, because as tough a times as Florida is facing, there are other states in far worse shape than we are. What a great opportunity for Florida to have a strategic economic development initiative to go poach the greatest talent from the California university system, which is crumbling, the best manufacturers from the industrial Midwest who are watching the decline and government takeover of the auto industry, to go to the business people in the Northeast who, frankly, if you can succeed in business in the Northeast against the taxes and regulations up there, you can do it anywhere.
No, you're right.
Bring them to Florida, and let's reinvigorate our state instead of this drift that we're in right now.
Well, I think you bring up some great points, and maybe you enlighten the few listeners out there that maybe think, well, why is such a business mind heading over to run for the Secretary of Agriculture? And we've got to take a quick break. If you've got just a few more minutes, I want you to tell us how that race is going and a few more of the things that covers, not just agriculture.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of Broward County present the second annual General's Construction Career Day at the Stephanus Boys and Girls Club Saturday, July 18th. Representatives from 12 major companies will be offering a series of interactive workshops highlighting 12 trades within the field. Kids will have the opportunity to try out construction skills firsthand under the guidance of industry leaders. It's great hands-on experience and great fun. Don't miss the second annual General's Construction Career Day at the Stephanus Boys and Girls Club, Saturday, July 18th. For information, call 954-537-1010. That's 954-537-1010. The event is brought to you in part by Advanced Roofing, Cool Roof, Elcon Electric, Formworks, General Crane USA, Caron Brothers Construction, M&P Reynolds, Right Way Plumbing Company, Rope Neck Corporation, Steel Fabricators, and Credit Restoration Consultants. We've all heard enough about the economy and how challenging things are. What you're really concerned about is your own personal situation. Your bills are out of hand, the endless phone calls, and your credit is getting worse every day. You have no idea what to do. Here's the answer. Call Bill Lewis at Credit Restoration Consultants at 954-581-5050. That's 954-581-5050. Bill and his staff will help you get it all sorted out. They're experts. They know the credit industry, and they'll help you protect your rights. Whether you've got late payments, judgments, old medical bills, even if you've been a victim of identity theft, CRC can help. The fees are reasonable, and the people are always professional and courteous. Stop doing nothing. Let the experts restore your credit today. Call Bill Lewis at CRC, 954-581-5050. That's 954-581-5050. Or go online to talkaboutcredit.com. That's talkaboutcredit.com. This is the Credit Report with Bill Lewis, where your opinion matters. Call us live on the air right now, toll free, 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Once again, here's Bill Lewis.
We're back. Chip LaMarca sitting in for Bill Lewis, and we're honored to have Colonel West helping me out here, and our guest caller at this point is Congressman Adam Putnam from. Congressman, I know you've heard this before, but what's the truth to the county of Putnam being named after your family?
Well, we're still trying to track down that branch of the family tree, but as of right now, I can't affirm that they definitely are named for anyone in the family, but they must have been from the horse thief side of the family, where we were the cattle rustling side of the family.
There you go. Well, tell us a little bit more as far as you've decided to come back to Florida after serving in the Congress. I mean, you went up there, practically out of college, and what we're talking about, touching on college. I am as I've told you, my goal is, as a Seminole fan, my goal is to have the entire Florida cabinet be Gators, because that means all my candidates will win. So, as a proud double Gator, why are you coming back to run for the agricultural position?
My business and academic background is in agriculture. My family has always been in the citrus and cattle business, going back for generations in Florida. And agriculture is an important part of Florida's economy. It's not the most glamorous, but when you look at tourism, construction, and agriculture, it's really the one that's been the most stable of the three legs of Florida's economic stool. But for the average Floridian who's not necessarily in touch with production agriculture, what they ought to care about is the leadership on Florida's cabinet.
Right.
Florida has an unusual system of government. It's essentially the board of directors for the nation's fourth largest state. And when it comes to driving an economic agenda, when it comes to dealing with the resource issues that we have in our state, particularly water, that impacts every decision, whether it's a new shopping center, a new apartment complex, a new housing development, or a new farm, water drives those decisions. The board of directors of Florida, sitting as the cabinet, dictates energy policy, where there's great opportunities for Florida to be a leader in renewable energy. When you look at consumer protection, the scams, condo and timeshare sales have some regulation under the Department of Agriculture. Concealed weapons permits are in the Department of Agriculture. Food safety, a huge issue. Trade policy, and our ports and our relationships with our trade partners, a lot of responsibility there in the Commissioner of Agriculture's position. And, of course, even things like price gouging at the gas pump is under the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. They have a huge consumer service responsibility. So it's important, I think, to have someone in that position who has a strong business background, who has a passion for the direction that Florida can go and the potential that Florida has relative to the other states, and putting us in a competitive advantage and really driving from a leadership standpoint the Florida cabinet and working with the Florida legislature to do some great things for our citizens.
Well, you're certainly with these newfound issues that are going on across the country, with you being in Congress, and you'd mentioned food safety. That became a big issue with a lot of the scares that were going on, and that kind of gets back to your background in agriculture and food safety. So that's important as well. But the area of renewable, and alternative energies. Right down here, I know you're going to be getting to the South Florida area quite a bit. Love to have you stop in. I was honored to be over at FAU CTEC in Dania Beach with the governor when they kicked off a program there, and I know they're trying like heck to harness the power of that Gulf Stream, and what better way to on one of our tiers of power to power up FP&L than have some giant hydro turbines in the water there, because that thing never stops, that Gulf Stream, and hey, one of our problems is solved, and we go work through your department that you'll be running. We work in the some of the switchgrass or the biodiesel products that you can get, the cellulosic ethanol and different things like that. So I mean, I think people need to put off the party hat where they think that one party or the other is for energy. I think we're going to do it utilizing business and bringing everybody into the equation and making it a success and solving the problem at the same time.
On a rapidly emerging technology like alternative energy development, government can't pick winners and losers. It requires a vibrant, innovative marketplace where you've got one person tinkering in their garage and one farmer tinkering on the back 40 and one fisherman observing the tide powers and the tremendous potential that it has, and scientists working at our various universities and colleges. Government can't possibly harness or manage innovation and inventiveness. It has to come from a vibrant set of individuals out there who are trying new things, willing to take risks, able to access credit to back up those risks or to finance those risks, and a robust investment at the government level in basic research and technology.
No,
so
you're right.
That's where that partnership has to be.
Yeah, that public-private partnership. I mean, where's the next Steve Jobs in his garage? Where's the next Henry Ford? So they're certainly out there, and I don't think government's going to find them. They need to find their way and be able to get that product out to market. I guess just one more thing. Obviously, Congressman, we spoke to your people. We have an event on July 25th. The Broward Republican Party is doing our summer bash by the beach, and we'd love to have you down for that, as well as Colonel. But I guess while I have you both on the air, one of the things that always gets lost in the shuffle of the candidate running up and down the state and all over the district that they're running for, obviously that's your job, but I guess I kind of want to give a shout-out to both Dr. Angela West and Melissa Putnam and Ingrid McCollum and my wife and everybody that supports us in being able to run up and down the district or the state to go out and try to get the job done and get elected. So I appreciate everything that you're doing, Congressman, and we look forward to seeing you back here in South Florida, and you're always welcome.
It's always a pleasure to be down there, and you're right, we've been down there a lot, and we'll be back down there a lot, and I certainly appreciate your leadership and that of the Colonels. Y'all are two great Floridians.
Hey, appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you again, Congressman.
Take care.
Bye.
So Colonel.
Yes, sir.
Busy morning, huh?
Yeah, very busy morning. And, it's great to hear. It was an interesting thing. I mean, you have an attorney general that spent 20-some-odd years up there in the U.S. Congress, and you brought out one of the great things that he did was the anti-terrorism legislation with that task force. Then you speak to one of the bright, shining stars that was up there in the Congress right now, who is Congressman Adam Putnam, who is looking to come back home and get onto that Florida cabinet and win that position as the Ag Commissioner. And, now you've got a next generation of Florida congressmen that's looking to go up there and continue some of the great work that those two predecessors have laid out for us. So, it goes back to one of the things I always bring up is we have to have that type of farm team mentality where we start even from that local level. It's kind of like in baseball with the single A, the double A, triple A, all the way up to the major leagues, which represents Capitol Hill up there. And that's how we have to make it happen, because if we can get like-minded individuals that are up there in our U.S. Senate from Florida, the Congress from Florida, and our governor leadership, and in our respective functional leaderships, being at the CFO, being the Ag Commissioner, or Attorney General, then you have a synergy that goes all the way down to the local level. And then we start to focus on what's best for Floridians and what's best for their growth.
Yeah, no, you're right. And as you look at, people always ask me, who's our candidate for 2012? I kind of look at, let's deal with 2010 first.
Oh, absolutely.
I think 2010 can be, if not a complete change, it can be to a scale, some portion of 1994 all over again.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things before we sign off, I want to welcome everybody back on Monday. I'm gonna do a little Bill Lewis takeoff here, and I want to talk a little about technology. What's the Republican Party doing with technology, social networking, all the things Bill talks about? But I'm a bit of a tech geek and have an iPhone, and I'm waiting for either the LeMieux report or a safety review. One of the places that I stop in the morning on the computer to get an iPhone app out there. So I get a question for the weekend is, what's on your iPhone? What's on your screen when you start the day with news? Do you go to the Broward Politics? Do you go to Naked Politics to the Miami Herald, the Sun Sentinel, Broward Beat? What's the way you get your information to start the day? So we'll see you on Monday.
All right, and thanks so much for having me, Chip.
Colonel, thank you for joining us, and
thank you, Chairman.
Keeping your steadfast fight for that seat. We're behind you 110%.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your support.
Thank you, sir.
Great weekend.
You too, bro.
The Credit Report with Bill Lewis is a production of Credit Restoration Consultants, located at the Sawgrass Business Plaza, 13790 Northwest 4th Street, Suite 111 in Sunrise, Florida. Credit Restoration Consultants specializes in restoring consumer creditworthiness and identity theft. If you're having credit problems, if your bills are out of hand, or if you just want a credit checkup, call CRC for a free credit consultation. Call now at 954-581-5050. That's 954-581-5050. Or go online to www.talkaboutcredit.com. That's talkaboutcredit.com.
The opinions expressed on this sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers and are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.